Well, the whole story probably goes right back to 2004. I was at the Cannes Film Festival. This is about as glamorous as it gets, okay? I'm going to shatter any illusions that filmmaking is glamorous from this point onwards. I was at the Cannes Film Festival, and I met this amazing French girl, and I fell instantly in love with her. And a year later, she took me to this forest in northern France called Brocéliande, and it's very ancient. It's full of legends. It's King Arthur, Merlin, and there's a lot of legends around there. And it was a place that's very special to her. And she said that it's a magical forest because everybody who goes there, it changes their life in some way. And while we were there, we were sort of hiking up in the middle of the night to go camping there, illegally, I have to say. I just suddenly thought, hang on a minute, nobody knows where I am. Nobody's met this person that I'm with. And I haven't told anybody where I'm going. I just said I was, going away from work for a few days. And I'm stuck in this forest with this slightly eccentric French girl. And anything could happen. And I really kind of liked that idea as a premise for a film. And then I started writing it. I came up with the sort of idea of, who this person was and why, why was he there. And we ended up shooting it 2 years later in the exact same forest, which was a very strange experience.
Had you done any writing prior to that?
I'd written a film that was made a few years before, but it was frankly disastrous. But I kind of used it as a writing exercise to learn how to do these things, and I'd been developing another script with the same director, and that's how we got together. And we developed a few other projects as well, one which we're hoping to do later this year.
We should mention that the French woman became your partner.
She did, yeah. That forest did change my life in two ways. One, it gave me the idea for this film, and secondly, that was the time when we first got together, and we're now married, and we have a daughter, and we live in France, and so it did change my life completely.
So you straddle this country and France. You live in France a bit and in this country. Whereabout in France are you?
We're down in the southwest, near Toulouse.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
You lucky devil. Much better weather there.
It is. It's in fact, it gets so hot in the summer we have to escape and come to England because it's too hot.
But you had to knuckle down and write the script. It's all very well having the idea and the initial impetus, but actually writing it down, a full script, is hard work. How long did that take you?
I started in January 2007. I finished it around about May, June time, and then we did some rewrites. So we kind of sort of finished it around about the sort of August, September time when we started shooting. It is, the screenwriting for a film is a very, very rigidly structured discipline. It's not like writing a novel where you can just go off on, in any direction you want. There's a very sort of definitive set lengths that you can have. There are a lot of rules that you need to learn, and it's a very, very difficult discipline to learn to write screenplays. So I had to spend a long time learning how to do it, and I'd taken courses and read a lot of books and practiced with other screenplays, but to sit down and do it, it's just a question of solving all the problems, really. You have to you come up with the characters and their story arcs and why they're doing things, and put them in difficult situations, and then problems will arise, and you have to kind of resolve the problems as your character resolves the problems.
Let's have a word about your director and fellow producer, Paul Hills. You've known him for quite a while now. What sort of a guy is he?
He's a nutter. He's a madman. Absolutely. I met Paul about 10 years ago. He's just crazy, eccentric. He is absolutely obsessive with film. He's passionate about film. He's very experienced as well, which was very useful for me because he'd directed 3 films before this one, and so I learnt an awful lot from him. And when he first read the script, he said, "Okay, let's do it." He said, "I'll direct it, you play the lead part, and we'll produce it between us." And I just thought, yeah, okay, sounds like a bit of fun. I wasn't really sure what I was letting myself in for at that point. And he sort of mentored me all the way through it, and I see it as kind of like an apprenticeship almost. And he sort of guided me through, and this is how we make films, this is what we do, this is the next bit, this is the next bit, and all the way from developing the script up to now, even this point where we're releasing the film, he's still there sort of saying, well, this is how we do this bit and this bit. And so I've had this amazing education over the last 5.5, 6 years of how to take a film from the initial concept all the way through to getting it into cinemas.
Well, the big problem, of course, is getting the money, the budget, and you've put a lot of your own money into this, haven't you?
I did, yeah. All the money for this film was raised privately. It was family and friends and well-wishers.
You sold your London flat, didn't you?
I had to sell my flat, during the production period because we were running out of money, and I was running out of money, and I had to take a lot of time off work in order to make this film, and it just got to the point where I thought I'm going to have to do it, and so I ended up selling it.
And what about the business of assembling the cast and the crew? How long did that take?
The cast actually, in a lot of ways where films are made, casting is done just because you go through the characters and you go, oh, I know somebody can do that, and I know somebody can do that, and we cast pretty much all of it in that way. Some of the characters I had people in mind for. Some people Paul had in mind for certain parts. The only two characters we actually did a casting for were the two French characters, the Malika character, the crazy eccentric French woman, and a soldier who turns up.
Yeah, with a wonderful uniform.
Which is, it's a Foreign Legion uniform, and it's there is a Foreign Legion base in that forest, which is why we chose that.
Now, you filmed a large part of it in France, in this forest. I mean, this was in autumn. What was the weather like? I mean, what sort of a shoot was it? Was it difficult?
It was tough, yeah. We went out there in September, and it was very mild and it's warm, and there's scenes in the lake, and the characters end up jumping in the lake. And I thought, well, I have to test it. So I stood in the lake for about 45 minutes. I thought, well, I'm not cold. This is great. No problem at all. By the time we got back to France to film it, it was October. We shot in chronological order in the forest, and the second half of the film takes place in the forest. And so that's, it's 40 minutes of screen time. It's 3 weeks of shooting. So by the time we got to jumping in the lake, it was towards the end of October, and it was very cold. It was about 2 degrees, I think, the water temperature. We had a doctor on standby who said, you can go in twice and that's it, and he was timing, how long we could be in there, and and it was so cold.
It's made you a hardier person. Now, when I watched the film this morning in the newsroom, I had to shrink the screen because I wasn't prepared for the fact that the opening shot is you running naked through the forest, which is brave in lots of different ways. You didn't have to do that shot. You obviously felt it was important to set the tone of the film.
Well, I wanted something that's going to grab people's attention to start with. I've no inhibitions about doing things like that, and I just thought it's part of the character's sort of nightmare visions that he has. It's part of his own insecurity, and it's one of the. It's actually a dream that I sort of have, an anxiety dream that I will have is that I appear naked somewhere. And it used to be that I would be really shy and embarrassed about it, but since having done this film, I now, whenever I have this dream, I just think, well, I'm naked in the street, I don't care anymore, I just walk on. But that was, I wanted something that was just going to grab people's attention and, show that this character, has a sort of a darker side to him that, he's trying to resolve, and it's something that's uncomfortable with him.
Yeah, you're not entirely naked, though, because I see from the making of Featurette, you've actually got some cardboard sellotaped to the soles of your feet, which is actually quite a clever idea.
Yes, that was necessary, because where we filmed it, the first AD, he did a great job. We found this amazing location where we could film this thing. It was sort of 9 o'clock in the morning. It was just above freezing point, and I had to run through all this forest, and the camera would run along this towpath by the side of it, which is great. We could get the shot, but it was full of bramble bushes, and the only thing protecting me were these strips of cardboard on my feet, and I had to take them off for some of the shots as well. And I remember sort of hurting as I was actually doing the scenes. It's fine. I'm running down. You got the adrenaline going. It's fine. You get to the end, and you have to turn around and go back again. And that's when it hits you that you feel every little spike that you step on. And I was pulling needles out of my feet and legs for months later. I was, I had hundreds of cuts all over my legs. It was a nasty experience.
Now, we'll talk about the story in a moment, but I just want to mention how hard it is on these shoots. I mean, that clearly was a particularly physical, hard thing, but they are hard shoots. You're hanging around an awful lot, then you've got to be on point at the right moment, haven't you? And you're under a lot of pressure, budget constraints, you've got to perform. I mean, they must be physically and mentally very tiring doing these film shoots.
It was, and absolutely. We were starting at 7:30 every morning, because I was producing as well. I couldn't really produce during the day, so I'd do all the production work at the end of the shoot. So we weren't really getting much sleep until about sort of midnight each day, and we were shooting everything on location. We didn't have any studios, and so we had to organise all the permits and everything for the different places, and shooting in another country as well. And we were shooting on films. We had and when we were shooting in the forest, we had to carry all the equipment into the forest, and we were going further and further, deeper and deeper into the forest every day. And by the end of the 3 weeks, it was a 45-minute hike to get to where we were going. Then we would film. Then we'd have to hump all the kit back again. So there was one day, I remember, it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. We were about 4 weeks into the shoot. I was absolutely so tired. I could barely keep my eyes open. And it was cold. I just wanted to go back to sleep. And I remember sitting in the car waiting to drive to the forest, to the location. And I looked up and I saw the focus puller sort of jauntily walking along, smoking a cigarette, feeling very happy and jolly, and I thought, how can you be like that? But it inspired me, and I thought, well, if that's the crew, if they can be like that, then I have to be like that.
Yeah,
as
but
well.
he hadn't put his own money into the project, I suppose. So.
She hadn't put her own money into the project. No, but and well, that's one of the problems as well. So I'm thinking, well, I've got a lot of committed into this. It's not just a very personal story to me, because it is a true story, pretty much. But it is a financial commitment. We'd found out that my partner was Steph, that she was pregnant while we were shooting in the forest at that time, which was probably the worst time to find out that your partner is pregnant. And it was, there was a lot of pressure, and it was very, very hard